96%. The expected chances of survival of Brandon Bush was wearing his seatbelt when he rolled his Jeep Wrangler. But he wasn't. The 23-year-old Electric City man was driving his SUV just outside of town on March 15, 2017, after stopping at a bar to pick up a friend. Brandon lost control of the SUV on Bay Area Drive less than 5 miles from home. The Jeep went off the road and rolled, and Brandon was ejected and later died at Cooley Medical Center. His friend in the Jeep was wearing his seatbelt and walked away with a few scrapes and bruises. Brandon's parents, Brian and Kelly, had gotten up at 3:30 that morning to head to Spokane, as Kelly had surgery scheduled as she continued to battle breast cancer.
When we got up, Brandon wasn't home.
You knew something was up.
And I knew something was up. So I sent him a text. He didn't respond. I called his phone. It rang, went to voicemail.
Kelly said they began going through the what-ifs, thinking maybe Brandon had gotten into trouble.
I thought maybe he'd just gotten into trouble and maybe been arrested. And that's what I hoped for. And I hoped that he'd have to deal with that on his own. So we took off thinking of those what-if scenarios on our way up the hill. And we were just outside of Davenport at 5:02 a.m. when the doctor, a good friend of ours, called and gave us the news.
Brandon, a graduate of Elmira Cooley Heartline High School, spent 5 years in the U.S. Navy. He returned home the day Kelly was diagnosed with cancer in August of 2016.
His family was the most important thing to him. And his family was, I know he never thought this would ever happen in 100 years. And there would have been no one more disappointed than him, because he just always did what he needed to take care of his family. When he came home from the Navy and Kelly was diagnosed with cancer and started going through treatments, he was there every day, with her through that.
Yeah.
Taking her and bringing her home. And, of all the bad decisions that night, you take any one of them away, if he's wearing a seatbelt,
he would have been alive.
He would be here.
Both Brian and Kelly say they don't understand why Brandon wasn't wearing his seatbelt that night like he had always done.
So, and unfortunately, it's Brandon's pain is over, but we have to live with that for the rest of our lives, and there's not a day that goes by since that I don't wonder, what if he'd have just put his stupid seatbelt on. We'd be having a different conversation, that's for sure.
Brandon died about a month before his 24th birthday.
Most people get a second chance, and Brandon didn't. The thing I can say is you don't wear your seatbelt for yourself. You wear your seatbelt for your grandparents, for your parents, for your spouse, for your kids, for your siblings, for your grandkids, for your friends.
Because they're the ones that suffer without you.
We're the ones who have to deal with this.
Brandon's Jeep now sits in a shop near the Bush home. Brian plans to restore it to keep Brandon's memory alive, and it'll eventually go to their daughter, who is getting married in September.
Her brother isn't there, He was always going to be a big part of that, so.
He had a zest for life that would scare us and annoy us, and he loved life and he loved his friends, and I didn't even realize until after his death how much he really loved people and how people really loved him. Getting through the first year of firsts was the hardest, I think. His birthday was just a little over a month after he died, and so it was difficult, and we we try to honor his memory and do those things that we would have done with him even in his absence. That's important to us. I don't know that it's ever going to get any easier, because I think of not being able to see his children be born or see who he chose for a wife. Those things are going to be with us forever.
On Monday, as part of the Washington Traffic Safety Commission Click It or Ticket seatbelt emphasis running until June 3rd, the Central Basin Traffic Safety Task Force is holding a seatbelt emphasis patrol dedicated to Brandon, knowing if he had been wearing a seatbelt, he would likely still be here today.
He never would have thought in a million years that this could happen. I think that's unfortunately the way a lot of our young people think, is that it'll never happen to me. And they take unnecessary chances, and that was one chance Brandon didn't get to learn a lesson on, that's for sure.
Yeah.
This is Joe Utter for iFiber One News.